All right, how you doing today? Today we're taking a look at Open Compressor by a brand new plugin company, Woodstock Audio. This is from the guys from mastering.com. If you're familiar with them, if not, I'll put some links down below for that as well. They have a lot of really good videos on YouTube as well for compression, like 9-hour courses for like all kind of EQs, compression, all that stuff. I'll put some links down for that too. So anyways, there'll be a link in the video description below for this, and let's take a look at it. There's some really cool features in this compressor, and there's a 7-day trial. That's what I'm actually using for the demo here. Let's just take a look at it. All right, so just some quick overview here. We have a bypass switch here. We have our mode switch here that we could open up the graphs and everything down here, the meters, and then we have a bigger graph of that as well, the waveform here. And we can get that way from this as well. There's switches down here. And then we have oversampling, low and high. We have a delta mode. We have stereo. We have mid-side. We could do that as well and link here as well. And then we have our VU meter, input, output, and then the gain reduction as you see going on right here. And then we have a side chain switch over here, internal, external, and all that kind of stuff. Now, the first thing about this compressor here is the first thing in the signal chains, actually, we have a clipper and a limiter. And you can do this a couple ways. We could do auto detect. And if you do that, when you play your track, it's automatically going to find the peaks. And then the clipper will go down 1 dB and the limiter is going to take everything down 2 dBs. So that's just a real quick way to do it. Or of course, you could do it manually. And the purple is the clipper, and you can see it on the line right down here where it's clipping. And it's just clipping right there. Obviously, we're going to play some sounds here in a bit. And you can kind of see the waveform gets smaller from here, from there, because it's clipping off those peaks. And then with the same thing with the limiter, it's the green line. That'd be very extreme, obviously, right there. So that's actually the first thing in the signal chain before the compressor, which is good because then you can just take the peaks right off, and then the compressor is not compressing and getting all that, extra pumping, filling and stuff going on. So that's very cool. Some other cool features about this compressor, we have auto threshold here. We could either use a regular threshold, and you can see the meter over here, or we can use the auto. We use this dynamic range. Right now it's at 30%. And this is really cool because you can, different volume changes. Say you have a part where the volume goes down a little bit, it's going to auto adjust to that threshold. And we also have auto release and auto makeup gain and auto output, which is kind of like our level matching. Level matching. And then we just have our typical compressed stuff, our threshold, ratio, our knee, attack time, release, and makeup gain, and the output. And we also have a dry wet knob, so we want to do some parallel compression. And then over here on the right, we have odd and even harmonics, saturation, if you will. So you can see these graphs down here in the red where it has the harmonics. That's the odd. And then we have the even here. And you can even see the down here on the OSC meter. And that gets really crunchy and crazy. And then we also have a low thing here. Now this is cool. When we go to the right, it makes the quieter parts louder, and we go to the left, it makes the quiet parts lower. And then we have a kind of like a tilt EQ here, which we could see in the red graph down here. We could balance things out if we want to as well. Let's check this out on a drum loop. I'm just going to play the drum loop, and then I'll play the odd and even, or I'll play the the low level in the tone, and then we'll throw some saturation in as well. Let's check that out. Okay, so then also we have presets over here. And the cool thing about the auto threshold is we could switch these, and the auto threshold, we kind of get an auto adjustment to what we're doing here. they design it so you can see what you're doing when you're controlling different things like this, like the clipper and such. Obviously, you're going to hear it too. I'm just playing it without the sound right now. And because you can see when you do it like a clipper, for example, you could really clip off a lot without changing the sound, and you're just clipping off those peaks. Anyways, that's something else. But we have our knee down here, graph, and then we have, if we put this in this mode, the waveform, we get a bigger waveform of the clipper, for example, and the limiter and the compressor over here, but we still get attack times, release, makeup gain, such stuff like that. Now on the left side here, I haven't really messed with the high and low pass filter and the look ahead. I believe this is for the side chain. I haven't really messed with this too much. And then we also have controls here for peak and RMS, or milliseconds here as well, for different styles of compression. And then we have regular and optical for different styles of compression, I should say here. And then we have looking forward and forward back. Now I'm not too familiar with this, so I'm just going to read it right from the manual here. Feed forward is detector before gain reduction, most digital compressors, how it sounds clean, modern, precise, and clinical. Feedback is detected after gain reduction, most analog compressors, how it sounds gooey, analog, musical, slow. And then we have different attack and release modes. And about the side chain thing, as I was talking about, the high pass filter shape what the compressor's detector circuit hears by filtering low frequencies from the side chain. And then same thing with low pass, look ahead. So yeah, that's for side chaining stuff. Again, there's a 14-day trial. You have to download it and check this out. This is just a quick look here today. Okay, so that's all great. So let's check out some presets here on the drums. And of course, I'm just adding in some the harmonics and stuff. What else we got here? Let's check out the New York 1 compression. This is probably like a parallel compression. Yep, the dry wet knob 60%. And again, we have the graphs here. We have the knee down here. We could even put this all wet if we want. We could change things, adjust things from here, get a different knee in there, do some, everything's auto right now except for the release. Turn auto release on. And of course, just because we have the clipping and limiting, we don't have to use that. Or they have a little bit of odd compression or harmonics on this one. These are just the presets. But the thing is, the default setting too, when you just load it up, we'll put the default setting on. You can get a really good sound right away with the default because we have the auto threshold here. So when you turn that on, it's just going to automatically adjust to the sound. And of course, we can turn it off and just do our own threshold if we want, as such. And we could set our own ratio and everything and our own stuff. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Sounds really good. And the cool thing about like the graph here is you can see these peaks here. We're chopping them off with the clipper here, but we're really not changing the sound. I mean, yes, if you go too far like such, if you go too far like that, obviously you're going to change the sound, and you might want to do that. So, you know, who knows? But in most cases, for me, I'm just going to want to clip off those little peaks there before I hit the compressor, as it's designed to do. Same thing with the limiter. We can use the detect thing again, and as I said, and just get 1 dB down and 2 dB down on a limiter. All right, so here we are on the default setting. We'll play it on this bass guitar here, and we'll go through some things. We'll do the auto detect on the clippers and check, you know, just mess around, see what we got going on. We can also freeze the waveform here too, make it bigger, make it smaller if you want to dissect it even further. What if you could go back? No, you can't go back. But when I put the clipper on, the limiter on, I did the auto detect and I did some adjustments myself, as you can see by the lines on the graph. So overall, it's a really cool compressor with a lot of extra features and tools. Very simple to use. One thing that drives me crazy though is my screen resolution. Now, if I close this plugin, we have a thing here where we can adjust the size. However, if I close the plugin and then I reopen it, it's just like super huge again. And in this setting here, I have to close it first. Because I can't get to this thing here, and I have to kind of shrink it again before I can get on my screen properly. Now, I'm on Logic, I could just hit V and close it and open it up. That works. But if you close the plugin and reopen it, it's going to be super large again, if you will. So hopefully that's one thing that they fix in the next version of it. All right, so there you go. Just a quick overview of the Open Compressor by Woodstock Audio. A lot of really cool features in here. What do you guys think? Let me know. Leave some comments down below. That is all for now. I will talk to you soon.